safety planning versus safety contract. Anytime you hear safety planning, it is a high yield answer. What is safety planning? Is a step-wide process to decrease crisis behaviors, right? So in that case, suicidality, right? So it does not mean because someone is having a manic episode, they need to be hospitalized. Remember, many cases that we studied yesterday mentioned that psychiatric mental illness alone is not enough for a involuntary admission. Okay, so here are the first five folks that were able to get the correct answer. Look at that. All right. Okay, so collaborate with the patient to develop a safe plan or safe planning and engage them in the decision-making process. That is the best answer, right? So we're trying to say, hey, do a safe plan and let's collaborate. This is the most appropriate initial action in managing a manic episode. Okay. Now, collaborate with the patient to develop a safe plan, promotes autonomy, and ensure that the patient's preference and concerns are considered in the treatment plan. Okay. So, let's see here. Give me a second, and then we'll get the second question on. Okay. Next question. All right. Okay, I see how the yellow option there or the orange option really follows the previous question's advice, right? But explain the non-hospitalization risks, document refuse, and assess safety is a more complete option there. Okay, so we just lost the folks who are in the first place now. So here we go. All right. So the thing is, you have to balance uh, the principle of a self-autonomy and respect, right, while ensuring the patient's safety. So in this scenario, by refusing hospitalization and documenting the refusal and assess for safety, it is probably the best course of action, and it respects the patient's right while addressing potential risks associated with the manic state. Now, for Kahoot, I cannot put a long answer. So you have to do your best by guessing what I am trying to say, right? So you will not have, it's very short answers because it does not allow me to put a full answer, okay? Just remember, if the patient says no, they don't want to be admitted, ask yourself, is the patient really at risks to harm themselves and others? Okay? Being manic alone is not a must for admission. It is a very strong suggestion for admission, but if you're looking at answers that says safety planning or things like at least you document and ensure the patient understands the risk, right? These are great options. Okay. Okay, we got 20 seconds left. All right. So let's discuss here the blue option first. He is a 19 years old. Are you really going to inform the patient's parents of his substance use to ensure they are aware? I hope not, right? He's a 19 years old. So that should be completely out of the question. But I trust that you try to maybe get the red answer, but you're too fast or something, right? So respect the patient's confidentiality unless there is imminent danger, right? So how about the green option? Consult with a colleague or supervisor before deciding to disclosure. Again, he's a 19 years old. And two, that is passing the buck. That is almost every single time a no, no, no. You are the cream of the crop. You are at the highest, in the chain of decision making. Why would you pass to somebody else with the same authority as you? Not to say that you can, you could talk and collaborate and get some suggestions, but these are very, very weak options for the board, right? So remember, you are going to be a prescriber. You have just as many rights, at least in my hospital, as a MD. You can admit patients and so forth. Now, the other option, offer a choice, inform the parents about the substance use or a will. Nobody picked that, so yeah. All right. So here we have uh, the explanation respecting the patient's confidentiality and refraining from informing the parents, obviously, right? Unless there is imminent risk of harm aligned with the ethical principle for the PMHNP. Good job, everyone. Okay, next question. All right. So I can see respect the patient's confidentialities, do not share the information with the parents. Okay, reasonable. But would that be a better option than discuss involving the parents in the patient care, balancing autonomy versus beneficence, the autonomy, the patient's autonomy. Beneficence improving, um, the or decreasing the risk of self-harming behavior, right? So that would be a better choice. Not that the red option, it is a horrible choice, but it does not trump the green answer here. How about the blue? Inform the patient parents about the situation without the patient consent. No, you are about to never see the patient again if you do that. If you completely break the trust, one way that they trust you, right, you build a rapport is by keeping the information confidential. In the question, I took a picture because I wanted to read it again just in case. It did not say, it says maybe depression, self-harm behaviors, and suicidal ideation. It did not necessarily go above and beyond by saying there is a plan and there is an intent, right? The moment you break your promise, the moment that you tell the parents is the moment that you will never see the patient again. Okay? Plus, the question said the patient is concerned about uh, negative consequences at home, right? So the PMHNP is committed to upholding ethical principles in care. So these are key that you should not tell the parents, obviously, but also balancing autonomy and beneficence, right? All right, we got 10 seconds. Pick your best answer. Any answer is better than no answers. All right, 3, 2, and go. All right, guys, I'm actually very, very proud of you. So yesterday we discussed healthcare, um, healthcare determinants of health, right? So this is in disguise here. Address healthcare disparities and advocate for equal care. So that is the same content that we covered yesterday in disguise, right? All right. Urkel is not letting go of the first place. Katie second, Dean, and then we have Betty Manma and Scary Mary. Okay, perfect for Halloween. Awesome. So the ethical principle of justice emphasize fairness and equity in healthcare. In this situation, the PMHP should prioritize justice by addressing healthcare disparities and advocating for equitable access to mental health care service for all patients, right? Good job. Next question. Everyone should get this question, right? We discussed this yesterday. All right, we got 20 seconds left. Pick your best answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, go. All right. Very good, guys. Very good. So yesterday we discussed non-maleficence. What oftentimes will be related to trazodone due to priapism, Adderall due to potential abuse, or benzodiazepine. These are the three high yields that I can think of when the provider withhold the medication due to possible harm. So in this case, benzodiazepine could have been harmful, could be harmful to the patient. So therefore, you exercise the duty to do no harm, and you prescribe SSRIs instead. Okay. All right. So there you go. Okay. Next question. Okay. All right. Somebody's fighting for the first place here. The five of you guys are really here keeping this steady. So let's go to the next question. Let's see if the ranks will change next. We discussed this yesterday, guys. Remember what we talked about telehealth. What is the problem with telehealth? All right, you got 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Pick an answer. Pick an answer. I don't know what to say because we discussed this yesterday, right? Let's see the answers here. Recommend the patient to seek in-person care from a provider in their state. Good recommendation. But does it mean that you continue to provide care? You are out of licensure. If you are in New York, you cannot be providing care for someone in California. So would that answer the question? No, what the question would be is you need to stop providing the care to the patient due to the lack of license or licensure in the state, right? So that would be the correct action, right? So yesterday we discussed that one of the biggest issues with telehealth, it is how do you keep from someone from another state practicing in your state, right? And remember, every state is different. So it can be legal principles that are being violated there, right? So this is a high yield topic. The other issue is how to keep patients' information protected, right? But more precisely, the scope of practice. The scope is mandated by the state, and every state is different. So therefore, if you're not licensed in California, you cannot prescribe or provide psychotherapy in California. You have to stop the service. Okay, not that recommending the patient to see another provider in their state is wrong. That is perfectly fine, but it's not an action that you should do. The action is for you to stop first, and then you can recommend next. Okay? Okay. All right. I can see how the green and the red are kind of confounding information here. Now, ask yourself, what is informed consent? Does it equal to inform the patient about the legal restriction and stop care? Not necessarily, right? But it would be more of a complete answer. Licensure is the issue here. The PMHNP adheres to the new state regulations and decline the care, right? How about the orange option? Uh, Prescriptive authority, exercise authority to prescribe controlled medication. Not if you don't have a license, okay? You will get in trouble.
I
How
have
about
a
the
I have
right?
a
Go
question.
ahead, go ahead.
I have a question because this question is kind of tricky because I always know that if you have a patient that was already under your care, like you need like a one-time medication before it goes to the next provider, can you prescribe that medication at least for like 1 or 2 days before they see the new provider? Or
No. Are you licensed in that state? Okay. Now, we are talking about a black and white thing. Now, what you do what you can handle, you know, in your state and your licensure. But if you are not licensed in a state, you cannot break the rule. Not to say that in real life people would not do that, but on the board, we're looking at the black and white. Can you do it? No. In real life, as people say, do what your rank can handle, right? In the army. So, that is up to you to do it or not. And I'm just saying that it is not, you would be legally responsible,
May I
right?
say something else, Dr.
Yeah.
Lopez? I mean, when you prescribe that prescription, the pharmacy in that other state doesn't know you anyway. So if there is a question, they know they're going to be calling another state. They're going to call you into another state. So you don't
Yeah.
want to send your prescription into another state either.
Yeah. Well, what if the patient, you prescribe benzodiazepine and they decide to buy a bottle of Jack Daniel and something happens? I don't know. I'm being exaggerated here. And I'm just trying to get you in a mindset of, for the board, that is a no for sure. In real life, it's your license. You know, you do what your judgment says for you to do. Okay. So the same thing is, you should not take care of your family member, like your wife or your husband. They cannot be your patient, right? Uh, Not your kids either. All that, it is blurring the lines, right? My mother-in-law said, "Can I be your patient?" I'm like, absolutely not. But I'll pay you. No, I don't want to see you as my patient anyways. No, absolutely not. We don't want to get in the blurred lines and getting problems. I don't want to know my mother-in-law's problems. I definitely don't want to know none of that. I want to stay away from that. Although I see her medication and I'm like, oh my God, who's prescribing this? But I can't do anything. I tell my wife. That's what I do. I would hope for 100% on this question, guys. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so if you notice child abuse or elderly abuse, then you report it. Okay. Now, before you report, you can and should, if given the opportunity, assess the situation. But simply document the findings in a patient chart and bringing mama and papa in a room and discussing the situation, it's probably going to get worse as they bring the kid back home. And your name now is responsible. Would you be able to go home at the end of the day and be okay with that option? Would you sleep okay, not knowing what's going to happen that night, right? So the right thing to do for elderly abuse and child abuse is to report. Okay, so nobody picked the green option. Continue counseling and monitor the situation. How about the red option? The PMHNP respects the child's wish and maintain confidentiality. It is a 9 years old in danger. Very different than, and it's not that, oh, I wish I would have taken a picture of the question. It's not that the patient was telling you, you notice physical signs of abuse, right? Anyways, so let's see who's ranking here. You guys are Coco. Coco and went in the ranks here.
Dr.
Okay.
Lopez,
Hi.
hi. So the thing is this, I'm a slow reader, and I just wanted to know, how can I, scan this question? I need all the time I can get when I answer a question. And then what I tried to do during this Kahoot was I just like went to the, I know I shouldn't, but I went to the just the answers, and I picked one, and it was totally wrong, opposite of if I had read the question. And I just want some advice as to what I should do to speed up my comprehension, or I mean.
So comprehension is speed up by knowledge. The more you know your PDF, the
Right.
more you can recognize what the answer is asking you. So a lot of people think this because I'm not, I wasn't born here. I don't read fast. Guys, you do. All of you guys do because you got your BSN and you got your master's. Otherwise, you would not have passed. So the thing here is really knowledge. The faster you get the content, the easier the question becomes and the faster you get. And this is why we practice here on Kahoot to get you pick an answer within a minute. Okay, so there is no easy answer here, okay, for that one, but it's time and exercise.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Eleven seconds, 10 seconds, pick your best answer. All right, good, very good, everybody. No is no, right? If somebody does not want medication, then psychotherapy, it's okay, right? If someone, we have to respect the patient's autonomy here. So the PMHNP should proceed with prescribing medication based on their clinical judgment. Absolutely not. Patients have, even under involuntarily admission, patients have the right to refuse medication. Which law case are we talking about here? Anybody remembers?
It's just something with the rainies or
Rainy, yeah.
rainy and
Yeah.
plain.
Yes, absolutely. Patients have the right to refuse medication in the case, refuse treatment, but I say medication because that is what most likely will be on the board. But the judge can override it, right? How about the Rogers? Rogers versus O'King. What does it say?
The parents have to give the authorization.
So the client may deny the medication treatment, but the parents may authorize to proceed with the medication or treatment. Okay. So basically, the parents overrides uh, the teenager's wish, for example. All right, so informed consent involves respecting the patient's autonomy and preference. In this situation, a PMHNP should respect the patient's preference for psychotherapy, provide detailed information about the treatment plan, and obtain the patient's informed consent for psychotherapy. Okay, all right. Anyone has question here? No? Okay, keep on going
I have
then.
a question on that question, Dr. Lopez.
I can't stop now, but we'll go back after, okay? Sorry. Close, right? Very close. The blue and the red. And yesterday I said that if you do not know PICO by the letter, if you do not know PDSA, if you do not know CAGE, these are possible 3 points that you will almost absolutely lose. So I would invest some time on knowing those acronyms. So patient intervention, comparison, not comparator, right? Outcome and time frame would be uh, the best options here. Very close, right? So the board, specifically for Cage, Pico, they will put very confusing words in there that if you kind of know, you are most likely to pick the incorrect answer, right? So intervention, comparison here is comparison, right? Which may be an alternative treatment or group outcome and the time frame. Okay. There was someone that had a question, the previous question, or if you now it's a good time to talk about it.
No, I have the question. If in that question we have to pick between fidelity, autonomy, uh, uh, com, it was autonomy and informed consent. If we have to pick between those three,
I don't remember the question, to be honest with you, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that answer.
um,
I can always go back at the end, okay?
Dr. Lopez, with this same question, the PCOT, right? Is it comparison? Isn't it comparison?
Yes, comparison.
Okay,
Yes,
okay, good.
yes, absolutely. All right. I don't know what happened, guys, with the music. Okay. Sorry. I don't know. The music just stopped playing. Um, Here you go. Meta-analysis or systemic review would be the best option, right?
Dr. Lopez, I picked that, but my answer said incorrect.
Yeah. So a
That
level two hierarchy, I'm sorry, level two hierarchy of evidence-based practice of high quality RTC. So I didn't see what was the question. Anybody took a picture
but
of the
now they
question?
said option one is not correct, but the chart show it's option one.
Okay, so it was misplaced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
No, what happened,
It was
Dr.
option one
Lopez,
because there was
is
only one randomized controlled
right,
trial.
right.
okay. So there'll be a level two. So that's why it was incorrectly keyed in, correct?
Yeah,
No, it's
because
actually level one. Oh.
well,
Why would that be
because
why would that be level one though?
I think that was a typo error. It should have said level two, but instead it said level one with a uh level one with an RCT, a well-controlled RCT.
Yes. So Maka Eba, I believe you said that should be level one.
so it says in B, it said level one high quality RCT, and which is
Should be a,
technically incorrect because it says level one. So that's why I did not choose that either.
I
Should have
see.
been level two, and I would have changed that. But I went with it. Just A only says level. It doesn't
Okay.
say which one, and then it says meta-analysis or a systemic review of RCT. So I was like, well, at least I know it's close. There's no level, so I was like, well, I'll pick that because I know it's not one. So
All right.
that's really confusing on the two. And so A
Yeah.
and B
So
is just
it was
dumb.
keyed in incorrectly. So let's discuss this for a second, okay? So if you have a meta-analysis systemic review that has several studies putting together, and they do some statistical analysis, and they will come up with one study as a result. That is the highest level. Now, a level two in the hierarchies, it is one high quality randomized control trial, right?
Yes.
So in this case, the study describes in the question utilize a randomized control trial. So if it's only one, then it would be level two. If there are several of them, then it would be level one. Okay. So sorry about the messed up here.
It's
So
also
here,
wrong in the question bank.
okay, so please let me know so that way I can fix that. So here it says level one hierarchy evidence-based practice represent the meta-analysis or systemic review of multiple high-quality RTCs. So that kind of explains level one and level two. Okay. So if anyone has this question on the question bank, just send me a number. There are over 2,000 questions, so oftentimes it's hard to find out where they came from. Okay. Oludumila, do you have a question there?
Yes, I just did this today and I picked meta-analysis and I got it wrong.
Okay. So
So I have to send you the question number.
please send me the question number and
Okay, I
where you
will.
came from. Thank you. Email, please. Thank you.
I will.
All right. All right, we got 8 seconds. All right, so the PMHNP decides to explore evidence-based practice. What do you do then? What's your next step if you're going to explore, right? Conducting literature search to identify relevant research articles, right? So reviewing the patient's medical histories and medication records. Great options, but that is not evidence-based practice, right? In order to find what is the newest and most recommended next step. So that answer does not answer the question. Okay. All right. Good job here, everyone. So anytime it says consulting on the colleague is usually the wrong answer. So reviewing the patient's medical history and medication records is crucial for understanding the patient's clinical context, but it should not be done in conjunction with gathering evidence-based practice. Okay. All right, next answer, next question. Let's see if this one's tricky. All right, good job, everyone. You know, I used to make a mistake all the time. What was the mistake? So I would say, oh, and I'm blanking out now. In EBP, I would say that research would be like 100%, and my teacher always say, even if there is a research, oh yeah, I would say that research proves, and she always corrects me and said, it strongly suggests. Research does not prove anything. It strongly suggests, right? And that's why we have the p-values, right? To see, would that be by chance or really is a strong suggestion, but does not prove. Okay, okay, next question. All right, we got 30 seconds left. Okay, good job, everyone. So respect the family, promptly discharge the patient to the least restrictive care. Not necessarily. We want to assess the patient's clinical condition and explore less restrictive environment. Remember, Kahoot does not allow me to put a whole lot of letters, right, in the box. So I have to be very, very, very creative here. Okay. Right. Okay. Next question. What are the key components of healthcare policy that we discussed yesterday? You said FIE, right? Fee. Somebody got it right. All right. So the components of healthcare, healthcare of policy making is FIE, formulate, implement, and evaluate, right? The regulations to improve service. Good job, everyone. Very proud of you because was not an easy question, right? Those few complicated answers there. So that means that you guys really pay attention. And Katie does not want to let her go of the first place. And Scary Mary, second place there. All right, let's see. You guys are doing great. Katie is just picking the right answer right away. She's like, I don't want to lose the first place.
Don't jinx me.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, let's do it. It's a hard question, right? Very hard question. So a PMHNP is passionate about improving mental health care access to the underserved population in their state. They decided to engage in policy-making efforts to address the issue of the underserving population. Which of the following actions best represent effective policy making in their role? So advocate for state bill proposing increasing increasing increased funding versus writing a professional article on the challenges of the underserved. Okay, so basically here the core of the question is the PMHNP is passionate about improving mental health care access to the underserved. So how would you solve this? Yeah, I, I agree that both options are very
Dr. Lopez, don't change it yet. Don't change the slides yet. Looking at what's going on here. I press A. This is said incorrect, but I'm looking at the screen here. A is the correct answer.
Yeah, one second. Let me move here. Okay.
And that said B on the screen now. B has a check mark, but A is the right answer.
Yes. 1 second. Yeah. So advocating for a specific bill in the state legislature that propose increased funding. Yes, it's an example of advocating policy making. So it
Yeah.
was incorrect key then question, but very close, right? So the option of writing, it does also address the key of the question. But what made difference here is the how how do you, or how are you involved in policy making, right? Even though writing to a professional article solves the problem or address some of the problem, but that is not necessarily policy making. Does it make sense? So it was a hard question. All right, very hard question. So the option is related to raise awareness in the advocacy. So the B, this is not a direct example of policy making. So writing an article for a professional journal can inform others of the challenge, but does not involve the creation or change of policies. Okay, so
So if we chose A, we actually got it correct. It just marked it wrong on Cahoots.
yes, absolutely. So you didn't get the points, but you got the right answer. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Sometimes half of the team do this game, and I just don't have the time to go over before. So next question. All right, 3 seconds. All right. More people got it right than I thought it would. So you have here pretty much two things that are compelling here. Some members believe the policy should prioritize spending coverage to include a wider range of mental health service. Wordly, right? I mean, sure. The other group says, other argues that it should focus on cost containment to keep insurance premiums affordable. So these are two good options, right? But something has to give. So work on both sides to find a balanced solution, meetings everyone's needs, kind of like really puts gives the best option here, right? May not be visible right now as our government is on almost 30-day shutdown by now, right? So that would have been a good option. So consider multiple perspective and address compelling priorities, competing priorities. All right, next question. Somebody pass?
Dr. Lopez, I'm not seeing the question.
What happened? I'm not sure, guys.
No, I'm sorry.
Are you guys not being able to see the question? Can you guys
No,
see
it
it?
kind of just chose something for me. I don't even know which one it chose.
Uh, I'm going to stop sharing here in a second, and I'll share again, but I'm not sure why it's not showing.
I can see it fine though.
Yeah, how come some people cannot?
I
It
can
went
see
off
it
for a
now. It went
second.
away. It looked like somebody was trying to ring in and then it went away and came back.
Okay, all right, so we're good then, right? So conduct a comprehensive needs assessment to identify the specific behavior health needs.
I don't even know that said like 4 questions.
Okay,
I
all
give up.
right. Hey, don't give up. Those five that are on the podium here, they are holding on to the spot and not letting everyone take it. All right, next question.
Please, you are distracting us. Please, then.
Does quality improvement. Three, two, one. Pick your best answer. All right, very good, guys. So anytime you hear quality improvement, you should look for retrospective chart review, PDSA, right? Or PDSA. So these are your cue to look for those questions. So I see that most of you guys really got it. Develop a written assessment policy and distribute to the clinic. It is not necessarily a um, performance improvement project, right? So good job, everyone. All right. Implementing retrospective audit, right? So here is in disguise by saying audit process to review the patient's chart, right? Remember PDSA. All right. Good job, everyone. Wow. 100%, close to 100%. Very good. Very good. All right. So conducting a root cause analysis is crucial step in quality improvement initiative when facing common errors. Remember the guy in AED situation that we discussed yesterday, right? And understand what is uh, root cause analysis, right?
Dr. Lopez?
Uh,
It's okay, I'll wait. I'll wait.
sorry, I can't stop once I press next. So here the problem is, how would you gather data if you do not know what the problem is, right? So identifying the problem, implement intervention, and monitor outcomes. So you got to know what the problem is before you start to gather data, right? So quality improvement process is an essential part of identifying the problem, followed by developing and implementing intervention to address the issues, right? Remember, we are only allowed to put certain letters, numbers of letters in the box. So sometimes can be very challenging to create an answer for Kahoot. Okay? But the point here was you gotta know what is the problem before you go straight into gathering data, right?
Okay, Dr. Lopez.
Hi.
Sorry, during our questions, we're getting a lot of that celebratory emoji, and it's really distracting for me to like read. Can we not have those from some other participants? Like continuous like emojis and questions?
So yeah, I can't stop people from putting celebrations and not whatnot, but I don't know what you guys seeing from your end. But let's play. Yeah, let's play nice and make sure that everyone's being respected, please. Let's go for the next question and we can address this later. Okay, so you have a problem, right? And you identify what is the problem. So the great option here, create a detailed plan for change, outlining the actions and responsibility. Is that PDSA? So conduct a trial of, of the proposed change with a small group uh, of staff and patients. So a trial, the trial run, right? So that would be the best option. So you have to implement the cycle, right? So after you identify the potential change medication administration, conduct a trial run on the proposed change with a small group of staff and patient. This aligns with the do phase of PDSA cycle, where the change is tested on a small scale to assess the effectiveness and identify any necessary adjustments before full implementation. Okay, so the whole thing here was about PDSA. Although the other answer sounded good, it wasn't necessarily a PDSA uh, answer. What do you do at the study? The S. Yeah, at the study, you will analyze the data to assess the impact of the change, right? Just remember the cycle that we kind of went over yesterday. Now, it was asking about the study, the S, right? So it's not a PMHNP identify the problem and assess for improvement, not necessarily, right? PMHNP implements the plan and carry out the proposed change. Would that be the study? No, right? How about the PMHNP monitor and sustain improvement over time? That would be what? Which part of PDSA? Right? So the PMHNP, the study phase of PDSA cycle is where the PMHNP analyze the data and results to assess the impact of the change made during the due process. It involves reviewing the data, evaluating outcomes, and determining whether the changes have had the desired effect. Okay, that is the study phase. All right, let's do it. Last one. This is a cultural question, right? Great. So I'm glad that nobody referred to a colleague. That would have been the incorrect answer. Proceed with assessment using standardized questions and intervention. That is not culturally sound. It is scientifically sound, but if you want to do cultural answers, would be gather information about the patient's culture and mental health beliefs. All right. So here we go. The winners, the podium for today's event is Coco. And second place is Carrie Mary. Is that you, Mary? And Katie. Wow, good
that's
job.
me.
There you go. You took a break, but you came back. You came back strong.
So
Uh,
Dr.
Congratulations, everybody. You guys really did wonderful. I know it's a lot of people, and sometimes it is really hard to be on a podium. All right. So you had what, maybe 80 people participating, 80 or so, probably more than 80. If you really got the five, if you got in the top 20 or 30, you are doing well. You are doing super well. Now, if you really got to the top five, that means you did super well. Okay, good job, everyone. So I think this is